Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to That's Football. The 50+1 rule, what is it? The good, the bad and the ugly. We'll be getting into that because to be honest with you, I think whether you support Manchester United, Chelsea, City, Arsenal, Spurs, Leicester, any club, why would you not want 50+1 as a starting point? It's definitely not without its hazards. I will go into that. But as we move past the Super League, well, we don't move past the Super League. It's still very much there. Listen to the words of Barcelona. Listen to the words of Real Madrid. This is on hold. They want it back. And this, to me, is just the fact that they made a few mistakes, and let's not make those mistakes again. Your club is in the hands of people who are greedy people, who are not people who love your football club. And even so, why should one dictator or a handful of dictators control your football club? We need to try and get our football clubs back. So does 50+1 work? What is it? Well, first of all, the German model. They call it the German model. Well, effectively what it is, in very simple terms, and look, I'm sure some of you will know in very deep terms, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of comments, and that's what I want to generate here. Get in the comment section, see what people are saying. But 50+1, 51%, 49% equals 100%. 49% can only be owned by private investors. 51% is owned, well, not owned, 51% is allocated, I would say is a better word, to the members. Now, the members could be hundreds of thousands. I think Bayern Munich have got over 200,000 members voting rights. And what that means is that if a chairman is appointed or a CEO is appointed, they can be removed by the members if they're not happy. They can vote to remove them and change them. So if Ed Woodward's in charge of Manchester United in a 50+1 system and we're not happy with him, he would have been gone in 2013. So that's one thing. Everything to do with your club is voted for. And also these investors, these private investors, because the Glazers could own 49% of Manchester United, but effectively they wouldn't have much say in what's going on. They would not be able to take us into a Super League. They would not be able to, focus on brands instead of the stadium and the pit and the footballers. So effectively every decision is voted for by the members, and they've got the power. They have the power with the 50+1, 51%. That's the positive side of it. The negative sides of it, because we need to cover both, is that it's hard. And look, at the moment, 50+1 looks great because Bayern Munich are one of the best teams in the world. But if you look at it, there's been a lot of criticism of this model over the years. Even Jurgen Klinsmann, German legend, has said, he spoke out against it because actually it limits you compared to a Manchester City or a Chelsea. Bayern Munich could be owned by the Sheikh Mansour or Roman Abramovich and be far more successful if that's even possible, because private investors will find Manchester City far more... well, look, let's be blunt. Sheikh Mansour is going to want Man City over Bayern Munich because at Bayern Munich he only gets 49% and he can't have his say. And let's be honest, big billionaires, as we've seen this week, they're not happy to go, I'll have 49% in Bayern Munich and I'll just sit back and see what happens with it. They're going to go, I want 49% in it. Why are they making these bad decisions? Why are they refusing to go into a Super League? Because they want to keep football for the fans. If they go in the Super League, my share price is up. I'm going to buy Man City. I'm going to get them in a Super League and my share price is going to go up. So that is the problem. It's all in a dream world. It's brilliant. 51% effectively with the fans to vote, and 49% with these private investors who can invest, but they can't get much of a say. Of course, these private investors, they're not massive billionaires because they sit back and watch somebody else make decisions. They want to make decisions, and therefore it can make you quite uncompetitive. On the other hand, and I think this is more important, it gives football back to the fans. It allows the fans to map their own future. But you do have to accept that you can't really have a 50+1 system in the Premier League and expect to be competitive against teams like Man City and Chelsea, because they're clubs that are run by multi-billionaires who want to be successful on the pitch but also want to be in control of those football clubs. And that's up to Man City and Chelsea fans. They seem to be happy with that. To be honest with you, if I was a Man City or Chelsea fan, I'd still prefer 50+1. I'd like it to be across the whole league so everyone's in the same position, because if you have got Man City in a league where United, Arsenal and Liverpool are in a 50+1 system, then Man City are probably still going to have the advantage. However, and I would say this, the other positive about these 50+1 clubs is that you will tend to get a more localised feel. Now that might sound anti-foreign fans, anti-fans that are not living in London, living in Liverpool, living in Manchester United. But it's not really about local being a Manchester or a Liverpool fan or whatever like that. It's about what's good for the club. So you'll get people who are ex-players, because obviously they're going to be influential involved. You'll get a lot of people who just have the best interests of the club involved. So that effectively, if you are part of these boards, because there'll still be boards at Bayern Munich, it's not just 200,000 members running the club every day. You've got to have appointed board members, and a lot of these people will be people that are respected around the club. And if they don't, and also if they fail, they'll be off the board because they're voted for by the members. So look, if Manchester United or Chelsea had a 50+1 system, then on the board you would expect to maybe have a Gary Neville or a Frank Lampard, and then you might have representatives from different parts of, maybe a really popular Chelsea fan in politics or in celebrity, in acting or something like that. The leader of a very respected fans group or something like that. So that's how your club basically gets built. It's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. But I think after this week, you've almost got to go. And I said this myself, and a lot of people said this. When it came to Manchester United, I would have took being bankrupt and in the National League starting again to not be in the Super League. So to turn your back on 50+1 and go, well, it's a good idea, but we won't be competitive. Well, look, at the end of the day, competition, are you throwing your morals in the bin because you're basically putting your destiny into the hands of business people, or do you want control of your club? And look, Man City might not want to do that. Man City, we want to stay with Sheikh Mansour. That's what we want to do. Well, fine. Let them dictate your future, and you just have to turn up and pay your price. I'd rather be at a club where actually members, appointed board members on the board, and you have control of your football club. Now, it's worked for Bayern. You could say that it works for Bayern because they're in a league where they can hoover up all the talent and they're the dominant force and they've got a monopoly. Could that work in the Premier League? But what I would like to say is that if this happened to a Liverpool or an Arsenal or a Manchester United, it would be a good starting point. It would be a good starting point because there probably would be ways where you might go, look, and this is what should have happened in the first place. Maybe 50+1 doesn't work, and you go, you know what, to be competitive against these clubs that have got private owners, we need a private owner. But you vote on that, and then when the private owner comes in, you get them to sign something that allows people to be on the board with voting rights, that allows people to have shares. They have control of the club, but you put in place things that will never allow what happened this week, will never allow people to just come in and cream off dividends. You do want private investment in football, 100%. We all need private investment in football, but they need to come in and bow down to us, not the other way, because private investors will. Football is not going to stop making money. Don't think that these private investors make football lucrative. You make football lucrative, and the players make football lucrative, and the managers and the coaches make football lucrative, because ultimately you can have a nice shirt, you can have a nice brand with a toothpaste company, but it's what goes on the pitch, and the fans will have most knowledge and insight into what is most important, and the money will roll in. So I wouldn't say that 50+1 is perfect. I think it does have its pitfalls. It's very interesting that a lot of people think that it cannot be brought into the Premier League anyway because it's already gone too far, and the minimum you can expect is to basically beg owners to say, can we be on the board? Well, you're still going to get shot. What's the point in having a fan on the board at Manchester United or Chelsea or Man City when there's going to be other board members? You might have 10%, but they're going to just shout you down. So I don't think that is the way forward. I think this needs massive reform. I think it needs brave reform. And I think it's going to be very, very difficult. But for anybody who's negative about the 50+1, ultimately, yes, I understand it why you are being negative, because you're thinking, wow, where's all the money going to come from compared to an Abramovich or a Sheikh Mansour? How are we going to compete? But if you don't take control of your football club, then you're going to put yourself in the hand of the situation that happened this week. Yes, it's difficult, but it's total reform. And you know what? I would give up Premier League clubs winning the Champions League for 10 years to get hold of the Premier League in the way that we want it to be got hold of, where every club is run by the people that matter, and that you can start bringing in, to West Ham, you might have a Di Canio on your board, and Chelsea would have a Frank Lampard, and Manchester United would have a Gary Neville, and Liverpool would have a Jamie Carragher, and Arsenal would have an Ian Wright. This is sure, and fans on there. I think it's, look, at the end of the day, I wrote this down. It's profit over football, or it's identity over football. It's profit in football, or it's identity in football. Obviously, profit is going to be more about the money. Identity is going to be about the core values of football, the morals of football. I personally think that a 50+1 system, there may be a better system out there. We're talking 50+1 because it actually is happening in Germany. But I would take that every day of the week over what we've got at the moment. I'm not saying it won't take a lot of work, and I'm not saying that it won't need to evolve or be manoeuvred into different ways. But I would take it. As a Manchester United fan, I would take it, and I would hope that most other people would take it. Of course, if you're winning the Premier League this year, or you've won it last year, or you think you're going to win it next year because your rich owner's going to chuck a load of money in, you might be like, I'm happy to be a servant to the rich owner. They're doing a good job here. But how long does that last? What about in 10 years when Man City owners get a bit bored and they give it to somebody else and you end up with a Glazer? Or Roman Abramovich says, I've had enough now, or retires and gives it to a son or somebody else, and they become a Glazer. Your problem might not be there now, but it could be there in the future. Man United might sell and get a really rich owner who acts like the Man City owner, and we're happy for 10 years, but then they sell to another Glazer. I think there's a real opportunity here, and I think it is about money or it's about identity, and I choose identity because I think that with the right people running football clubs in a member system where the members are people who care about the club, you're telling me if Man United had a 50+1 system where 51% of that club is voted for, the votes are secured by the fans, and then 49% is private investment. You're telling me that big, massive companies aren't going to want to be part of Manchester United. Our revenue streams are huge. The problem you'd have with the 51% is that you'd need to have quite a divide. You need a quite united fan base because key issues you might disagree on. But that's democracy. You're telling me that if Chelsea had a 50+1 system, there wouldn't be brands queuing up to be involved in Chelsea or Arsenal or Liverpool or Man City or Spurs or West Ham. There would be lots of brands, but the fans would have an identity and control of their club in a very democratic way. And at the moment, football clubs are just owned by billionaires, a lot of them who probably don't have anything to do or even support that club. They just see a business venture. Surely it's better to get these clubs back in control of fans and then allow the money men to come in, but say, look, your money can come in and you can profit off our football club. We have shares, we have ways of that happening, but ultimately this is about a football club, and you're not here to use a club that's been here over 100 years for as a bankroller for you and your other businesses. This is Manchester United, this is Arsenal, this is Liverpool. Get your thoughts in below, smash a like on the video. I hope that sort of breaks down a very broad but accurate key points of what this is. There's loads that you can go deeper on. You can talk about the membership, you can talk about how the board's constructed. There's lots of things you can do, but ultimately I think that's the key points. Smash a like on the video, subscribe, and get your comments in below. That's what I'm here for. I want to see what people have got to say, pro, con, or other ideas. Thanks for watching.